Oh, here we go again. Hey, everybody, it's us again. It's your favorite dads. It's your digital daddies, your online in laws. It's me, it's Sam, it's Dan. And we are here talking to another awesome dad, another veteran. This is kind of a thing we're doing now. This is just part of the podcast. We talk to veterans and we talk to dads, the two people that want to talk the least. That's the only ones we want to talk to for some reason. This time around, a gentleman's named Chris Reynolds. He's a retired Air Force dad, father of four, and we're going to learn all about him in the course of this conversation, you and I together. So, Chris, give us a little bit of your origin story, please.
Yikes. All right. So I always like to say, fun fact, my original birth certificate doesn't have a name. It just has a blank space. I was adopted. So that's where I started in Southern California in 1979. And had a pretty rough childhood. My adopted parents, both alcoholics, drug addicts. My dad, at least, I say my dad, that's my adopted parents. I've never met my biological father. He at least, went through med school and had a good job, so he could afford to have, an alcohol and drug habit and not put us on the street. But yeah, so it was still rough. And made it through high school. Lots of basketball, lots of choir, some mock trial thrown in there, and hanging out with friends. I had a really good friend that I still talk to, and so made it through all that. Barely. Had a really rough case of senioritis, and was dealing with some depression, and so senior year kind of just tanked, and kind of followed me into junior college, where I got academically dismissed. They said, "See you later. You can't even spend money here," and so I was kind of in a really junky apartment. In a bad side of town. That was in the middle part of California, a place called Visalia, little agricultural area. And about 4 years after high school, I was like, I need to do something else other than working a couple minimum wage jobs to afford the couch that I picked up on the side of the highway. So I was like, well, let me try this military thing. And so I went to the place where they have like the four in a row recruiting station, and took one look at the Navy, said, absolutely not. I don't want to be in a boat. So I'm out. Talked to the Marines, and they hit me up with all the, you want to be a man, you want to get in there and do things right. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm not sure. It's a little too intense for me right now. I'm kind of just wanting to get some life skills and and get figured out, pointed in the right direction. Talked to Army, and Army was pretty cool. I actually had a friend of mine that his dad was an Army recruiter. So I was like, all right, let's talk. But I just kind of got the feeling like, well, kind of maybe a number, maybe not taken care of so much individually. So last place I went into was the Air Force, and dude is sitting at his desk, legs kicked up, like, hey, what's up, bro? I was like, I have found my branch. So I was like, I like this. This sounds good, and I joined. And went through MEPS, did that whole madness early. Went off to boot camp in May of 2001. So just a few months before September 11th. And I took the first job they offered me, which was military police. Worked out well. Graduated from that. I graduated actually on September 7th, 2001. So just 4 days before September 11th.
Wow.
And and then we get the whole like, hey, you're going to war and everything's happening, and I'm like, whoa, bro, I just signed up for like a little help and maybe some college down the road or something. Uh, so first place they sent me to was Osan in South Korea. I was there for a year. Uh, had a really tough time. I had broken up with my fiance, and she had sold my car and hadn't paid
Ooh.
any of my bills while I was in boot camp, and uh, so feeling really 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 down, and actually attempted sort of suicide on my post with my weapon. Thankfully, another Air Force Security Forces member was able to help me out and get me on the right track. And it was actually really, really a turning point in my life because I felt like I couldn't control anything. I felt like everything was happening to me and it was all bad. And, I was like, no, this is really stupid. I'm worried about everything that I can't control. And that's, of course, I feel like I have no control in my life because I don't. I've given it away to everyone else. And so from then on, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing something unless I want to do it. I'll take ownership of the stuff that I can control, and the stuff I can't control, can't control. Um, so I left after a year, got to Cali, to Vandenberg, and I actually met my wife there, and we quickly got pregnant. She had two kids. That she got pregnant. I'm like, all right, well, want to get married?
Was she
She's
in the
like,
service as well, or was she a civilian?
nope, yeah, she's just a civilian, and she was like, okay, and so she had two daughters that I ended up adopting. I gave them the option. I said, I could either be Chris or I could be Dad, but if you pick Dad, I'm not going to be Dad until I piss you off, and then it's Chris. So
That's a fair
they,
choice. Yeah.
they both said okay. Uh, so we ended up having my youngest daughter and my son together, and then the adoption is kind of funny because the judge that presided over the adoptions of my two oldest was the same judge that was over the Michael Jackson trial,
Oh,
if you remember
what?
that. Yeah, in Santa Maria, California.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was kind of a trip. Um, and with kind of the mindset that I had from Korea, and with my supervisor saying like, hey, we really think that you could be a really good airman. I kind of been looking for ways to improve myself and looking for ways to, hey, let's go for that promotion. Let's really go after this. And um, so I ended up retraining into K9. So I was a dog handler in 2005, and they quickly, shipped me over to the sandbox. To Qatar was my first deployment. Um, Searching a whole lot of trucks, arguing with a lot of people that don't understand how dogs are used properly. And then I was home for about 4 months after 6 months there, and right back out. Picked up a different dog and went right back out to UAE, which was ridiculous. That was totally not any part of the war at all. I mean, they got a bar, they got a swimming pool, uh, base commanders, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, tending bar and stuff. And I'm just like, okay. So that wasn't a bad way to spend 7 months. I got back from that, and they said, we'll give you a break. So they gave me a dog that couldn't go out. He was going to be retiring. So I spent about a year home. And then they sent me out again. And this time was to Afghanistan. And so it was like, okay, this is going to be for real. At first I thought it was going to be Iraq, but then they're like, no, something's changed. And if you remember back at that time, that was 2009, we had a surge in Afghanistan, and I was part of that. So orders were cut, and I was actually pulled off a plane because they hadn't signed off on the Air Force's part of the surge. So I'm like, okay. So I ended up in Afghanistan with a great group of guys for about 9 months in Bagram. So up in the northern area, all around the mountains. Actually, very similar to where I live now in Colorado, honestly. But you know, don't have to really worry too much about mortars and rockets here, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But about the same elevation, about the same cold and all that, surrounded by mountains.
And hippies.
And yeah, and hippies. So, and
Snowboarders,
hash,
maybe.
you know, and hash smokers in Afghanistan. So very similar to Colorado.
Yeah, I could see that.
Green here, very green. So yeah, did that 9 months. You know, that was the first deployment that I really could like call when I wanted to, because we could get these little, if you remember, little brick Nokia cell phones. You know, so there I am calling home on my little brick Nokia next to the minefield. If the wind blows too hard, you know, you lose signal. Horrible. Terrible. Living in a tent. It was a good time though. It was really good guys, which made it all at least somewhat tolerable.
Yeah.
After that, I got back home. We went to Maryland. We were there for 4 years in Maryland, Andrews. So I got promoted again, which meant I had to drop my leash and be a supervisor of just regular cops, which was pretty crazy. At one point, basically supervised or was in charge of, if you will, about 60 guys. Very stressful, but also really, really awesome. It was really great to have a chance to lead and kind of do it my way, which good and bad, crazy and not, but you know, we got through it. Guarding Air Force One, if you knew that, Air Force One is there at Andrews. So lots, you know, you get a briefing like, oh yeah, president's leaving on Tuesday, first lady's flying out on Thursday, China's coming in on Wednesday. It's like, okay, great. Tell me where I need to be. My time there ended because I ended up deploying to Curacao in the Caribbean, where we did drug interdiction missions and hung out on the beach. Beautiful area.
Yeah. Was that like a joint task force kind of mission with some other branches there, or was it solely just an Air Force mission?
No, yeah, Navy, DEA, some Coast Guard.
Okay.
And helping out with the Venezuelan government.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, a lot going on.
They still have a government.
Yeah, well.
Anyways, you love those good. You love those type of deployments. I deployed to Hawaii for 3 years.
Nice.
So, yeah, you love the sunny, sandy deployments. You know, when they're near water, anyway. There's also sunny, sandy ones that you don't love so much.
Yeah, for sure. So that deployment actually, I I had an airman that was suicidal, and I ended up being the one to help him and save his life actually. And so that was the big thing there. And then a couple months later, I had left early because my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and so I ended up cross training into being a recruiter. So as I like to tell people, I've had probably two of the most hated jobs there is, cop and recruiter. uh, and we did that in San Diego. I was there for 4 years in San Diego, which was a great time. You know,
4 years as a recruiter.
4 years as a recruiter, absolutely. Yep.
It seems like an eternity, for somebody that gets put in that position.
I told my commander when I left that it should be illegal because that is rough. Oh, it was rough.
I can't imagine.
That was tough. And for a while, we had my mom living with us, so it was rough, just all around. And I need a shoulder replacement, so I ended up getting sent back to security forces and sent to Wyoming, which is where I ended my career. And they said, okay, do you want to stay in the Air Force or not? And I was like, I'm at 18 and a half months, man. I gotta get at least to the finish line. And so they allowed me to do that. So I retrained again, and I was down in Mississippi for training when COVID hit. So good times there. Yeah, that I retired, and my wife said, I'm not living in Wyoming. I said, well, how about Colorado? She said, sure. So we've been in Colorado now for about 2.5 years, and loving it. So currently work security for a hospital here in northern Colorado. So
okay,
good
Right
times.
on. So that's excuse me, that's more than we normally get from the quote unquote origin story. So we do appreciate that. You gave me all kinds of things to ask, most of which probably won't get time to go to. But I've got a trend that I tend to follow, and I don't see any reason to break it now. So I always ask my co-host to go first and to throw their questions out before mine, just in case they look silly and I don't. So eeny, meeny, miny, Dan, you go ahead and go first this time around, and
Right on.
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Me being a girl dad too, I've always been told they're much harder to raise than boys. And so I want to know, what was the hardest part you found raising girls?
Whew. So
And
yeah,
it can be at any age. Like, what was the hardest chunk of time, or hardest, like, I know they're all kids are hard headed, but like, what was the hardest thing that you had to experience with raising a girl or girls?
yeah. Guys would ask me like, oh, well, how you feel about guys coming over, whatever, and I'm like, shoot, the way my girls are, I'm looking at the guy like, you all right, bro? You good? You sure you have any clue what you're about to be dealing with here? Yeah, my girls got all kind of attitude. Probably the most difficult was really dealing with just kind of like how long term that they can scheme and plan and try to get one over on you. Probably the funniest one is we're having a problem with my oldest daughter not using the cell phone. So like, okay, I take it, I put it in a like a little stupid safe kind of thing. She cracked that sucker. I was like, are you serious? The only thing that stopped her is I finally had enough, and I put the cell phone just in a bag on the refrigerator. So I was like, it's here in plain sight. If you use it, everyone knows it. Like, there's
True.
no getting around it. And she told me later, she was like, I really hated when you did that, because she said she was trying to figure out some way to get it still.
So lock picks don't work on a Ziploc bag.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, try it now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Right on. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
four
Mine's 3.5 before next spring. And she's already, when you said attitude, I was like, ding. Cause she's already, I know it's going to get worse. I know it's going to get worse. Cause teenage years, she'll hate me and not want, just cause that's what girls, they always, no, get away. But yeah, when you said attitude, it would ding, ding, light bulb.
Yeah.
Cause she's got the sass, the attitude, yeah, already.
Yep. I told my middle daughter, pick up your shoes. She did the whole hands on hip, like 1 foot out, like totally looked me up like we were about to throw down.
Oh no!
I'm like, you're 4 years old. Like you are this tall. What are you serious right now?
Every day.
I grabbed her, picked her up, and once her feet left earth, it was like eyeballs like this big, like, oh dang. I was like, pick up
That
your
means
shoes.
business.
Put
Yeah.
her down. I was like, go.
But with your girls with your kids in general being a little bit older, this question you might have to think about a little bit, or maybe it's been recent. But one of my favorite questions to ask is, what's your most favorite or most recent dad win? Like something that you've been working with them with, and they finally you can see it click, or you can see their wheels starting to turn, figuring it out, stuff like that. I was wondering if you had one of those either recently, or if you had a favorite one from back when they were younger.
Oh yeah. Yeah, always a work in progress for sure. I mean, I guess probably uh, it's a good one. We yeah, we've been through a lot as a family. Been through a lot, a ton, um, and I'm really proud of the way that we come together and we um, try our best, even if we have had beef, to support each other. So my middle daughter um, had a daughter, and she died when she was about 3 months old at our house. And my youngest daughter and myself gave her CPR, but it didn't work. And her birthday would have been October 28th. She would have been 3. And so my middle daughter had an idea of, hey, let's go to Build-A-Bear and let's all make teddy bears for her. And so we're all together at Build-A-Bear. My son joined the Army, so he's in training down in San Antonio, but we had him on FaceTime. And so we made a bear for him as well. So we're all together and doing our best to support each other through that and really make something beautiful out of it. And that was her idea. That was my middle daughter's idea. And I think that really hit for me of like, hey, this is, instead of just going to a bar and drinking or, ignoring each other or yelling at each other or just, leave me alone or something like that. She was like, let's be together. This is tough for everyone. And let's support each other. And that was probably, at least most recently, definitely the one that stands out for me.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Sorry for your loss. I know we're, a bunch of strangers, but that, when you said she would have been 3, that really hit me because, my daughter's a little over 3. So I couldn't imagine going through all that. And, but yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys can be, that's what family should be, is rallying around each other, not bickering, putting difference, if there were differences, putting them aside and just coming together to be strong for the one that can't be strong or, needs that uplifting to get through their tough time or whatever. And, that's listeners out there, take note. That's what family's for. It's not for mooching off of or being, whatever. It's for coming together and supporting each other even when, like you said, she could have easily sat in her room and be depressed all day. And I'm sure she was, it's heartbreaking and that's sad, but doing something like that in memory of her, that's, I'm sure that was, yeah, that's just awesome. I'm glad you shared that with us, man. That's what I strive to be with my family. And I hope that's what everybody strives for in their family.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that really highlights
This is
life
heavy.
is fragile, and that you just don't take every day for granted that you get to spend with your loved ones, because it could so easily be taken away from you in the moment's notice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Wow. Like that hit me, and I've got a son. We'll just we'll stick with what my OCD wants me to do. We'll keep this going clockwise, and Sam, go ahead with whatever you got praying most heavy on your mind.
All right. Well, we'll go back to another military question, if you don't mind. We'll switch tracks a little bit there. I was like, how did the military help bolster your self-confidence or give you a kind of sense of direction, with your history moving forward? And did you really capitalize on any of the benefits it had to offer in that regard?
Oh, holy moly. Holy cow. Yeah. Big time. I really had a lack of not really self-control, but like, I guess self-discipline. Start things, don't finish. Oh, this is hard, I'm out. That's part of the reason why I joined us. I kind of told myself that, like, I need to join something that I can't quit.
Right.
And then joined a 6-year contract. Oh. But it really did make a big difference. I didn't go back to school until I was in for about 3 years. But then I was like, you know what? I read this awesome book called Mindhunter in Korea, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do. I want to do investigations, and I want to do criminal profiling, and that sounds awesome. And the guy who wrote it was an Air Force vet. So I was like, well, if he can get to the FBI, I can get there. And so what do I need to get there? Well, you got to have a degree. And so like a degree, the guy who was kicked out of community college, go and get it, gonna go get a degree. Okay, sure. Yeah, that'll happen. So I started slow, and just kind of built momentum. And somewhere I got a video of laptop that I had in Afghanistan where I was taking classes. You go to the place where you got limited internet access, upload, my paper and a couple of classes that I'm taking, and then go back to my tent, typing away, helmet, I'm good. And so I finished. I actually did a lot of school. Thankfully, online college is amazing. So Air Force, paid for all of that. Tuition assistance. I used, I can't even imagine how many credits I used. So much credits. I think I finished probably like 150, 160 credits while I was in the Air Force.
Wow.
Ended up getting 2 bachelor's degrees. And
I was going to say,
and I was ready for my time. I'm going to put in for OSI, which is kind of like if you're Army, CID, that's OSI, NCIS, all of that. And I got hearing loss in my right ear, so did not qualify.
Oh no!
And for me, same thing with being an officer, so I couldn't commission and I couldn't join the FBI because they got the same hearing standards. But those degrees have really opened doors for me, and allowed people to kind of like look at me in a different way of like, oh wow, okay, this guy can at least accomplish a few things. Uh, Air Force definitely gave me that self confidence to be able to get through that, and the discipline to be like, okay, it's been a rough week, but I still got to put something down on paper.
Yeah.
And turn it in.
So what about the NSA, or maybe maybe taking some of your traditional education? Does any of that translate to the now digital world? As far as like you doing some kind of investigative positions or anything like that? Have you explored any of those options?
I have not looked at NSA, honestly. Kind of the transition out of the Air Force was a bit rough, and so it's just been kind of like, hold on and let's get through this, and then kind of once I feel a little bit more grounded, then let's take it from there and let's see.
Right. No, I respect that. I mean, don't work faster than your ability to make good decisions, I suppose. You don't want to just impulsively, make a decision and be like, oh hell, I moved the whole family over to the East Coast and now it's not working out. And it's like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. And as far as Air Force benefits, holy moly. Tuition assistance. We used the VA loan is the only reason we got a house right now. My goodness, so much help on base with programs for my kids, with programs for us, counseling that my wife and I have gone to for free. I mean, counseling that my kids have had for free. There's a lot there. Pretty much any program in the Air Force, I just tell people like, yeah, I've used it.
Right.
It's there to be used, and you're only more wise for having used them as opposed to just, for example, therapy. Just grinding away and doing it on your own. Why do that when you can get free therapy? I've been trying to get back into the VA for therapy for God knows how long. I've virtually given up on it. So, I mean, I know that the benefits that you can get from that. I guess, did you have anything else, Sam?
No. I mean, maybe just like a general holiday question. We could switch tracks again there and kind of bring it in since, it's going to be the holiday time. We've already got past like Thanksgiving, looking forward to Christmas and whatnot. So what are some of the favorite holiday activities that you and your family enjoy?
Yeah, geez. Generally, we for like Thanksgiving on base, we would usually invite some of the airmen over, especially if they were away from their family or brand new airmen, that sort of thing. Invite a couple of guys over so we can kind of take care of them. Halloween candy, always got to drop that off at the gate. Love for my gate guards.
Stay nice and caffeinated and sugared up.
Absolutely. It helps to be vigilant.
Yeah.
Typically we'll usually we would go, to someone's house, either in-laws or my family's house, and have big dinners and that sort of thing. We did have a fun one last year, actually. It was last November. Instead of Christmas presents, my oldest daughter had an idea of let's just have a family trip. So we went to Steamboat Springs in Colorado for a week.
Cool.
Stayed at a nice place. It was off because of veterans discount. Thank you. So it was about 60% of what I would normally pay.
Yeah. There you go.
Skiing, some shopping, some hot springs, escape rooms, all kind of stuff. So it was a good time there. Uh, and I really appreciated that because, it's, sure, stuff is nice, but the experiences are better. Even when we changed bases, instead of flying out, we drove, and we just turned it into a, Griswold family vacation across the U.S. And,
Making memories. Yeah,
have a good time.
that's great. Awesome.
Right on. Well, as Sam said, we do tend to jump around here a little bit. And I was going to jump back into the dad side of things. You said that you were adopted, though, yeah, the parents that adopted you weren't really all that great either. And, I'm not going to compare our situations, but my parents were drug and alcohol addicts as well. So, I kind of feel where you're coming from there. And part of this podcast, the reason for it was to teach myself to be a better dad. I had, even just a man in general, I have had to learn how to do that on my own, virtually, just through trial and error. And I was wondering, how did you learn to dad? Did you have someone? Was it your wife's father, or did you have to do it like similar to me, just kind of jumping in there and learning as you go?
Yeah. My dad finally got sober right around started around I was 12 years old, and basically the state of California said, look, dude, you can't continue to be a doctor and do this nonsense. So if you want to actually like be able to work, you're going to go through rehab, and it's not going to be 30 days. It's going to be 6 months. So he did inpatient for 6 months, and he was in a halfway house for another 6 months. He was gone for a year. Uh, and I really credit them with that because it really turned his life around. He was sober for the last 20 years of his life, and he was uh, a lot better person for it. Um, it was still rough, right? Because you're a teenager, and I'm like 13, almost 14, comes back to the house, and it's like, who the heck do you think you are, bro? Like, you're my dad. Okay, anyway. I don't even know where you've been, and so that was kind of tough. And so I tell a lot of people, I was like, he wasn't a good dad to me at all, but he was a very good grandfather to my kids, and that was a treasure to see that complete 180. And as far as being a dad myself, it was a lot of Pepsid AC and Tums and trial and error. Like, all right, we're going to try this and see how this works. Ooh, that was pretty rough. I am very thankful for my wife. She was a single mom for 8 years almost before we met, and so she had a lot of insight and a lot of help in that regard. Of like, yeah, I wouldn't try that, or how about this, and we had a very good discussion, before we were getting married, while we were planning it, of like, okay, how are we going to parent the kids, if this kind of happens, kind of what are my guardrails, right? Like, this is okay, that's not okay. And yeah, it was a lot of heartburn, but and a lot of trial and error, A/B testing supreme.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to have like your story was going to lead to dad coming back around and being great, or if someone else was going to step in your life, or how that was going to go. Even earlier when you were leading toward the FBI, I was like, okay, clearly he didn't go to the FBI, but like, how does this story end? Like, I never really knew how like it was going to go. So before I throw it back to Dan, and then I probably after that we'll kick it into the second half of the show. But I've got something personal to me that I'm in the course of working on. I'm gonna, excuse me, go back to talk to a few other dads about this and get a couple short, maybe short interviews. I don't know if they'll go as long as normal, But right now, I have. This has been a really hard year for me, just in general. My grandma died, my dad died, we moved. It's been a lot of stress. Things around the house, being a homeowner for the first time, the funerals, and blah 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 blah. And I'm at this point where I'm thinking I don't have as much mental toughness as I thought that I did. I'm not sure that I have really any to speak of at all. And so, I talk to new dads, or the dads I've spoken to before, I want to ask them and get their opinion on what you did, not for yourself necessarily, but in terms of your children. How did you make sure that they had that toughness in them? Because I don't want my son to be dealing with the problems that, well, any of the problems that I deal with in life. But this specifically is on my mind right now, and so I want to make sure that I can do what I can to help him in that regard. So for you personally, did you even have to encounter this, or is it something that you really gave thought to?
Holy moly. Yes. First of all, yeah, sorry to hear about your loss as well. Um, we've had, it has been mounting for me over the last 10 years. My father's died, my mom has died, my aunt has died, my uncle died yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well,
My oldest daughter's fiance has died. I mean, it has been, and of course my granddaughter. I mean, it's been absolutely just brutal. And yeah, after my dad died, my mom was living with us. She went totally, totally back in the bottle. And there was a lot of things that came coming back up from my childhood, stuff that you thought you got out of your head, and it comes right back to you and just hits you upside the head. And there's so many bad thoughts. And thankfully, there was, it's called a MFLAC, Military Family Life Counselor. And we had one at the base that I was near because I was a recruiter. So I was just in an office, but I was near a base. So I just used their services. And that helped a lot to get through that, because it was rough, to be sure. And I've definitely dealt with burnout and meltdown, and in therapy for PTSD. It's rough. I feel for you. And yeah, you don't want to pass it on to your kids, right? You don't want to, hey, time to go to school, and then what's the problem? I'm fine, guys. It's cool. You can go to school. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I've tried my best to, get those moments. I do a lot of hiking here. Go for a walk. I mean, when I was a recruiter, there's more than a few days where I just told my boss, I was like, I'm leaving, and I'm gonna go. Sorry. And there was a lake nearby, and I would just walk the lake. Uh, and you gotta take that time to decompress and relax. And when you get those, for me, it's horrendous train of thought, and it's like trying to pull it back. Uh, you have to recognize that and try and stop that, and then just compartmentalize. You know what? Yeah, I've got all of this on my back, which is killing me. But I'm here to coach basketball right now, or I'm here to take my daughter to this dance competition right now. And that's it. And this is about her. This is about her right now. So whatever I've got going on has got to go away, for an hour. And then when they go to bed, then maybe I'll deal with it.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll deal with it, or maybe it'll be tomorrow that I deal with it. I don't know. But that and my wife and I have had a lot of really frank conversations. She is absolutely my best friend. I mean, she, and there's been times where it's been like, I don't know how this is going to end. But, I, in my heart, I'm like, I know I can trust you. So here it is. And then, we work through it. And for me, the biggest thing is just if it's their turn, it's their turn. And now it's my kids' time. And so I got to support them. Um, and then, I'll make an appointment for my turn some other time. Um, that's, I guess, the best way that I can put that. I don't know if that makes sense or is helpful, but yeah, bowling, throwing a heavy ball at wooden pins is pretty good also.
God, I haven't went bowling in ages. I miss that.
I used to work in a bowling alley, so I'm like, hey, there you go. At one point I had a heavy bag in the garage. It's like, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Yes.
Right on, right on. I see some parallels there in things that I'm currently doing. So that gives me some encouragement. And I'm also encouraged to know that, some dads just don't have it figured out completely. And, that we just keep going on, and trying our best. I feel like it's been an age, what I don't know, a blue moon since I heard Dan's voice. So before we kick it in here to what I guess the guest promotional phase of the show, Dan, is there anything else you had left in the holster there that you wanted to draw out?
Yeah, I just want to say that I can attest to what he's saying about like clearing your mind, going for a walk, hiking, going bowling, doing whatever you find solace in, so to speak. I just dive into music. I'm very musically driven. If there was no music, I don't know what the hell I would do with myself. Like I've got to have it. That I also, yeah, I'm an adult, but I like to game a little bit. I know Sam, you like to game too. Different kinds of games, but like, that's kind of my thing. I kind of try to get an hour or so to, not every day, but every now and then, just to me, it's my way of like you said, kind of like compartmentalizing. Like, all right, I want to play this, or I'm going to go listen to music and forget about the distractions of the outside world. And it kind of does, at least for me, music is the big thing for me. Like I can put on one of my favorite songs or whatever, and just close my eyes and listen. And for that 3 to 6 minutes, my cares are about what I'm listening to, and I forget about where I am or what I'm doing. So yeah, I can attest to that. And Corey, you have mental toughness. Kids bring it out of you. Don't say that you don't. You just gotta, it's there. Trust me. I didn't think I had it either, but I'm more mentally tough today than I was 3.5 years ago, and little bit was born. So it's there. Don't sell yourself too short.
No.
Right on, right on. I do appreciate that. One
Yeah.
question about something you said with the music thing, and I'm sure that this is something that a lot of people feel. Don't you think that like, and I don't want to, we tend to go on tangents here. I don't want to do that, but don't you feel that like, okay, there's a song, Avenged Sevenfold, whatever it is, you just love it. It just used to pump you up. It used to be everything that you needed. 5 years later, doesn't that song like have less, power? Because I'm over here like, man, it's real hard to find a new song that I haven't heard to kind of pump me up. I'm still like, Dream On and Stairway to Heaven or whatever. Like I'm stuck in the 70s and the 80s for songs that like really move me. And then after years and years, they stop moving you for the most part. And I like that's why I've listened to more podcasts lately, because the music just doesn't affect me like it used to. And does it still have that effect on you?
Yeah, I mean, there's speaking of Avenged Sevenfold, that's my favorite band. They have a song that came out, oh my god, 2010 on the Nightmare album, Welcome to the Family, whatever. It's called Buried Alive. So that song's good god, what, 13 years old, and no matter what I'm doing, when that song comes on, I hear that first guitar note played, I melt into whatever, and I forget. I could be driving down the road and some idiot just cut me off and I want to give him the finger, but if that song comes on, nope. Like I've listened to it. That is of that band, that is my favorite song ever. And still to this day, I've probably I know we exaggerate a lot. I've probably listened to it 200 times. And if I listen to it right after this podcast for the 201st time, still be the same as maybe the first time I heard it. So no, I don't experience burnout. I have certain songs that if I'm pissed off or I want to kill the world or watch it burn, I have a certain, it's not a playlist, but I can go to YouTube and find like these 3 or 4 or 5 songs and I'm good. And some of them are come out, a few years ago. Some of them, like you said, are from the 80s, 90s, 70s, whatever. Some of them are from when I was in high school. It's just, I have songs that I deeply connect to and I don't let them go because they mean so much to me and they've gotten me through so much bullshit that I can't let it go. It's just like, if it wasn't for that song, I don't know if I'd be here right now or in the shape that I'm in. So
Yeah.
those are
you
the songs
telling me that
those are the songs I gravitate towards if I'm, need to dive into music and forget about the world.
I remember you telling me that Barbie Girl really like kept you strong through some
I mean,
hard times.
that's
in your
number
life.
one, man. Number one.
I just don't really, if I hear Burning Heart from the Rocky Ford soundtrack come on, then yeah, that pumps me up. But also, that's not a song I've heard 1,000 times. So yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, I mean,
But
say, on the music thing, don't sell yourself short. I mean, my son is 18 years old. He loves Queen. He loves Meatloaf. He loves The Who. I mean, he went to basic training, and the next night, my wife and I went to Disturbed, and he was like, "What the heck? Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "Well, you joined the army, so you missed out." But
it's
yeah,
not
I mean,
like
I
you were
would
going to
say
go
that
anyway.
while I was cooking dinner for my kids. They all love Jimmy Buffett. I mean, you'll find new meaning when your kids are telling kids their age, like, "No, go listen to Queen."
It's funny you mentioned Queen. I just before I came in here to hit Zoom, I heard some sort of alternate version of "We Will Rock You." It was like sped up. It was really cool. It was some sort of B-side or alternative take or whatever. It's on Spotify. If you like Queen and you have Spotify, it's worth searching for. I was like, this is not going to be good. And then like halfway through, I'm like, maybe I should share this on Facebook. Like who else has heard of this? This is awesome. I'm not even a huge Queen fan, but like I was digging it. Okay, so I did say that we'd move into the promotional phase, but I go back to my OCD and it wants me to give Sam one more chance to say something if he wants to. So, did you have anything else before we move on toward the end here, Sam?
No, not at this time. No, I'm okay.
Right on. So, you did mention prior to, it might have been even before we really started the show, about some things you got going on and some things that you may or may not want to share with our meager, though surprisingly growing audience. I'm always like shocked to find we've got another listener on Spotify. That's always crazy to me. But with that being said, do you have anything that you'd like to share with people? Any messages that you want to get out there or projects that you want to talk about?
So yeah, I'm very big into positive psychology and wanting to just be a force for good in the world. Um, so with that, I volunteered at Make a Wish, and if you want to get a recharge, talk to a kid who's 3 years old who's got leukemia and Down syndrome and just wants to play with bubbles for a half an hour about what he wants to do, and then make that come true for him and see the humongous smile on his face and the looks for the rest of the family, as they see their family members supported, and supported in such a way that's we're just bringing happiness to people, which I can't think of a better mission. And so just wherever you are, Make a Wish is I'm not sure if it's international. I'm pretty sure it is, but it's at least national. You've definitely got it in your state wherever you are. You can give money, you can give time, you can donate tickets. I mean, they'll take whatever you're willing to give them, and it is absolutely an amazing cause. Other than that, we've had probably about 200 animals come through our house that we have fostered, my wife and I. And that's another population that they're always gonna love you. They're always gonna be happy. And I've seen some animals that we had one that was attacked by a machete and was emaciated. And in a couple of months, it's like the fur grows back, the scars heal. She's a happy dog, and then to be able to give that to another family that can enjoy the dog and make sure that they have a good house now is a wonderful thing to give to people as well. So, look at your humane societies, look at your wildlife centers. You can volunteer your time. You can give them $20, whatever it is. Just support those who need it. And at the end of my retirement ceremony, I left everyone with because, as I said, I'm a child of the '80s. There's two things to say: be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes.
Fuck yes.
Nice. Nice.
I'm, you know what? I might stop the show there for the podcast listeners because that's just like you can't beat that.
No,
That's
how
just
do you beat
perfect.
that? Yeah.
Before we move in here to the end that may only be for any YouTube listeners, that if I put the show up there, I did want to ask one more question about the fuck me, I forgot what it's called already. The animals you just talked
Humane
about.
Society.
Humane Society.
Yeah, like where you God damn. Anyway, you the animal volunteering that you do, whose name I've completely spaced on. How do you get over saying goodbye to these animals? Like, don't you grow attached to them to the point where it would be a little bit difficult? Because that's what's kept me from doing something like that.
Sure. So we do have two animals that were foster fails.
Fosters, fuck me.
One cat, one dog. The dog, he would have probably been euthanized if it wasn't for us. He's outwardly aggressive, but it's all based on fear. And so with my experience being a dog handler, I was like, I know exactly how to handle this dog. He's perfectly fine, no problem. And he's a lap dog. Like, he'll come up and just lay down. He just wants your love.
What kind of dog is it?
He's a long hair shepherd. I just tell people if we go on walks that he's on the spectrum, and then they kind of stay away from
I should have laughed. It's not as funny as I made it out to be.
But
Cut that out.
No disparaging to anyone who is, but
Yeah.
Two of my kids have learning disabilities, so I make bad jokes, but it is what it is. But yeah, so in the military as a dog handler, you end up switching dogs a lot. In 5 years, I had 4 different dogs. And so you kind of get that where it's like, okay, here's what it is. We're going to do this for however long, and then here you go. The best as on kind of the civilian side that it's been, I think, is we've really done our homework as to like who we're working with, and they really make sure that they're going to good families. They'll do site visits, make sure the house is safe. We'll do meets, and they take into consideration what I say. So if I'm looking at something in the meet where I'm like, this dog does not need to go to this family, they'll say something like, oh, well, the dog needs some vaccines or whatever, so they're not ready. So how about a different dog? And when you see that animal go to a family that really, really appreciates it and see their excitement and how awesome they feel, then I'm kind of like, all right, we're good.
Makes it easier to say goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. And just like people, there's some that I'm not that hard pressed to say goodbye to also.
Right, I can understand that. Not every dog is, the perfect friendly foster dog.
Yep.
God, there's so much else I could have asked. Like I'm looking at a list of questions that we never got to. it's just I learned a long time ago that people don't really listen to the longer episodes. So hour ish is about as long as we can push it, and it always leaves us room for the guests to come back if we ever get that chance again. If you're interested, then we could certainly do that again, another round. I've complained just numerous times about how hard it is to get veterans to come on and share their story. So we're always happy to talk to the same ones again if they want to come back around. But
Oh, yeah.
with that being said, we are down here toward the end, and we like to make sure that regardless of in this particular case, really heavy, serious stuff that we talk about, that we want to leave people on, if not a very natural, like normal laugh, a very forced, awkward laugh with a dad joke. And what do you, I don't know. You're pointing it there, but that's me on my screen. So I don't know who
I
you're
know,
pointing
I
at.
know, I know.
So these jokes come from our good co-host Dan. He typically writes them himself, and if you've heard any of them before, well, he started writing them a long time ago, and they have leaked out over time. So some of these, it may sound like, oh, there's no way Dan wrote that one. He probably did. He probably did. So at least I give him a grain of salt. So Dan, what guffaws are you gonna push upon us with your dad joke this time around? Your all original discount dastardly dad joke.
Right on. I actually have one quick question before we do the dad joke.
Oh, good.
Because I forgot about the fostering the animals thing, and we just rescued a dog a few months ago, or about a month ago. Real quick, we rescued a dog. I'm not going to get into it. She was more of a lawn ornament than a dog, which is sad. Dogs need to be in the house. I'm sorry, and treated like babies and pampered and spoiled rotten. That's just me. But do you have any tips for how to acclimate this dog to mainly to me? We think she's been abused by a man because every time I'm alone with her, I can't get within like 3 feet of her. She kind of runs away. But when my wife's around, she'll let me pet her and come near her. I've used the treat method, giving her treats all the time, and loving her on her, trying to pet her when I can. I talk super sweet to her. I don't even think I've ever raised my voice to her. I mean, I've told her no when she starts doing like jumping up on stuff. I've said, "Hey, get down," but I've been real super sweet about it. I haven't really raised my voice to her. I was just wondering if I'm on the right track and if there's anything else I can do. The one other thing I thought real quick before I let you answer, I work and my mom, god dang, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. So I figured while I was at work, maybe if we put like some of my clothes with my scent down, if near her, if that might help acclimate her. I don't know. That's just a thought I had. But do you have any tips for me trying to get this dog? I know it's going to take time, but to get this dog to come around and start showing me the love she shows my wife.
Sure, yeah. Big dog, small dog.
Big dog. She's a Lab Rottweiler mix,
Okay.
and she's about 3, give or take.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it can take some time. Scent is not a bad idea. Obviously, a dog's world is nothing but smells. Really, just make it as is she in the crate at all, or just
we have our fenced in backyard. We have a kennel
Okay.
for her. Like if we go somewhere, she still has separation anxiety, so she'll chew up stuff, and we don't want her obviously chewing up stuff any more than she already has. But no, she has free range of outside, at least in the fenced in yard. It's not small. I mean, it's kind of small, but she's got free reign of it. And then we have 2 other dogs. They don't even like each other. So say nothing about a new dog. So we try to keep them separate, but she does spend time on the couch with us during the day. And with all 3 dogs, they all just kind of coexist. But yeah, she's not confined to like a certain small area. She's got pretty much free reign.
She like toys or treats?
She's scared of toys. She doesn't know what to do with them. But yeah, she loves treats. Like I'm giving her. I feel like I'm making her fat with treats. But hey, like I said, you gotta spoil your dogs or your animals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So big. we're really, really, really big on making things positive. We want a positive reward system. We want things to be upbeat as much as possible. If she's operating from that kind of fear, holy crap, and I'm going to go run to my safe place, let her run, don't pursue her. And for me, my dog, we say he has a feeling, and he gets in his feeling. He was very, very aggressive. I got on the floor, and I just crawled with my head kind of away and just as close as I could. And he'd growl and I'd stop. And then I take a little bit, and just kind of ease it in there. So that way, I'm on their level or lower. And so it's less of a kind of a dominance, aggressive look. Obviously, you don't want to look in their eyes. You don't want to bare your teeth. Even a smile to them is, in the animal world, if I'm showing you my teeth, we're about to get down. So I just very, very quiet, very low, very calm. And anything that she does to come near you, a soft, like, good, any kind of reinforcing that behavior will help. And you might want to try also outside the house, try to approach her then, because it's kind of neutral territory. Inside the house is kind of like, this is my cave, this is my, my house. And, or they might perceive it as this is your place. So I don't want to screw up.
Right. She's outside most of the day, where she was pretty much an outside dog. We don't, obviously she comes in, sleeps on the bed with us at night. We don't leave her out, but our interactions are mostly outside.
Okay.
So,
and then, smells, get the hand, first. If she smells, that's good. You don't necessarily, I wouldn't go for like behind the head. I would just try like mid back and back. You have to be a little bit careful. Some will get a little weird about their hind legs, but kind of that mid rib area, a lot of dogs like that. And it's very non-threatening. You start reaching over their head and it's kind of like,
yeah.
Imagine if you just walked up to someone on the street, you're like, what's up, dude? You're like,
yeah, for sure.
So,
right on. I appreciate it. Now she lets me pet her. It's just, she's skittish. I think where you said I'm not a super tall guy. I'm probably a little shorter than average, but where I'm so much taller than her. Yeah. I think when I can see where you're talking, when I come outside, she kind of backs up a little bit, just for me, even just walking outside. And I always walk at a faster pace than, like, my wife always yells at me, "Hey, slow down." But when I'm around her, I try to go, not like tiptoe, but I slow down a little bit, and I don't reach for her. I just kind of keep my hands to myself and let her sniff me. And like I said, she does let me pet her. Sometimes she kind of, but I don't push it. I let her do her thing and leave her alone. And we have a bed for her outside, and like, I'll give her a treat and I'll sit down next to her and, and just talk to her sweetly and give her a treat. I break it, give her a little bit at a time. And, she lets me pet her and all that stuff. So I just didn't know. I basically asked that to make sure I'm doing everything right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a process. How long have you had her?
About 3 weeks, about a month.
Yeah.
A month at the max.
Yeah, so it takes some time, but I mean, if she's already letting you pet her and stuff, you're definitely on the right track. It's just once they get that warm fuzzy in their mind, then you'll be golden.
Cool. Right on. All right. Now with the you said you give bad jokes. You haven't heard mine yet. So here we go. What do you wait. Gotta get my prop for all the haters.
Nice.
The dad joke champion.
and none of these haters are ever willing to actually come on. So
no, right? they complain about the delivery, but they won't come on and try to take it from me. So the open invitation is still out there, listeners. So you just got to come on the show. All right. What do you get when you rub 2 oranges together?
Don't know.
Anybody?
I don't know.
Nope.
No, don't know.
You get pulp friction.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Yeah.
do.
I can
Nice.
see that. Yeah.
I like
Pulp friction.
I'm starting to think that dad jokes are like an evolved kind of pun.
Oh yeah,
Oh boy.
Like
that's all
like
dad
it-
jokes are, is puns.
Yeah, just it's just always above my ability to ever create, but I'm glad that I can enjoy them. It's nice to have someone else to to share them with me, because I tried telling one on the show once, and it was people complained about your delivery. They didn't see that. They didn't see that real. So
No, you just
don't.
edited that part out.
I probably did. Probably did.
nice.
I edited out some of I don't know if you watch the videos sometimes, but it's really just me talking to the guests. And then there's like silence where you guys would speak, and then I come back in like, yeah. So, anyways, and we just continue on. It's the Corey show featuring Corey. It's not even your two dads anymore. I lie to you guys. It's I do a voiceover in the real. It's like, hey everybody, welcome to your two dads. It's like, hey everybody, welcome to Corey. This is Corey and Corey and Corey. So that's why maybe I should include you guys. Maybe we get more viewers that way. But anyways, another great dad joke, Dan. Thank you as always. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us. You've been awesome. You've been really open, really shared a lot of stuff that you really didn't have to, and we are super thankful and appreciative of that. We hopefully all learned a little bit. I know that I did, and I grow as a dad with everyone that I speak to on the show. So thank you for helping me to improve in some way, shape, or form. I may not know right now what that way was, but it will come to me down the road. And I'll be like, yep, thanks, Chris. That was you. I appreciate that. So I guess we will wind it up here. Anybody have anything left to say before we head on down the road?
No, I just want to say thanks again for coming on, man. These two other guys are vets. I'm not. I come from my dad's a veteran, but I have super high respect for you guys and what you do for fighting for us and for us being able to celebrate during these holidays and do whatever the hell we want because we're America. But yeah, no, seriously, thank you for serving. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope that, like Corey said, I always learn. I hope our listeners can get a piece that they can take and put into their life. And I want to just tell you, I know you probably heard it a lot, and I'm a stranger, but hang in there, man. It gets better. I know you've had a rough go. I've had a rough week. I know I can speak for these two. They have rough goes. It's just part of life. And we'll get through it. We just need to hang in there. And yeah, I won't go too far into it, but yeah.
Right on, Dan, with the mental health push there at the end. We always appreciate that. If you got this far and you liked it, then rate us, share us, follow us, and all that stuff. Don't even have to be 5 stars. I mean, you're going to break my heart if it isn't, and my heart can only take so much. But I mean, be honest. If it's a 4, hey, if it's a 3, you probably came on the wrong show. You need to rate somewhere else. But whatever is fair, I'm down with that. But with that, I guess hey, it's been your two dads, and I will check you later.
Check you later.
Check you later.
We'll see
All right,
you.
and that's going to do it for us. Well, once again, Chris, thanks so much. Dan, Sam, thank you guys. This one
I drank
actually
entirely
recorded.
way
So,
too much water.
all right, then. So you actually have somewhere to go. I will. I'm going to head in here and have a late snack that I probably don't need, but that's just how I do things. So,
Thank you guys
you
very
guch.
much.
Hey,
it's
thank
been a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming on to the show.
Yeah. I mean, and we like Sam or Dan said, I'm right there with you. I wear the bracelet all the time. I I haven't had to use it yet, but hang in there. And it's not going to help you, but no, you're not alone. So
you're not.
we always have that. It for whatever that's worth, you're not alone. So I guess, guys, thanks again, and I'll talk to you all later.
All right, man.
All right. Appreciate it.
Adios.
See you, dudes.